What's up with y'all family? I hope all is well with y'all and y'all taking in and absorbing all this new energy that's hitting the realm. Yo, what shifts your body is how much energy you can obtain, y'all. So the people that are talking about how they shifted, y'all, you know, the shifts are internally, family. So everybody has, different energy levels. There's a lot of people that have a lot of energy. There's a lot of people who don't have much of it. But there's still the third, the fourth, and the fifth dimension because all that is earthly experience, yo. 3D is the lowest density, yo. That's where fear lives. That's where all the enemies reside. That's where all these fucking hypocrites that run the world reside, yo. Because they're stuck trying to entertain y'all. Not because they want to, but because they need your energy. So start thinking on a deeper level, family. The 3D, which is fame, publicity, and money. All that is the third dimension, which is hell, yo. That's hell. There's no worse hell than that. That's Hades right there. But as you go up to 4D, yo, you start living in your mind. You start questioning, how you are living and trying to become better because now your mind is starting to think for itself. You're not believing in what the fuck people are telling you. You start developing your own belief. That's the 4D, y'all. And the more you go up, the more you will see how you are elevating and changing from within, y'all. Because you don't activate on the outside before within, y'all. All the people who are talking about how they made it to 5D, family, they made it to 5D because they put that work in internally to see it. Why you think their reality is nothing but love, peace, and it's light because they're glowing as well. So as I give y'all this video, I want to remind you that the only way you will get there, y'all, is if you do the internal work, y'all. You have to do the work, y'all, if you want to shift. If you want your body to start shifting as well as your mind and your perspective, y'all. Your body and your physical avatar is the last thing to shift, y'all. That's why you probably haven't seen any effects or any major, coincidences about your reality because I remind y'all, family, if you don't put the internal work in first, well, that's where the force shift comes in, y'all. And that's where you're being forced to shift as we, rise and ascend higher and higher and higher into less density, So all the people who can't reserve their energy, y'all, or they can't live and become somebody that enjoys solitude, y'all, by building up their own energy. If you don't like solitude, that means you're not happy with your own presence because you feel like you're not enough. Family? That's why I remind you that it is important to get right before you want to get with someone else or try to give somebody else company, family. Because ain't nobody gonna feel for you or ain't nobody gonna want to be around you, y'all, if you don't have a presence that can have them thinking about your ass all day. Not because you're trying to put anything on them or send someone negativity, but because, y'all, you need to have your life. Everybody has a life, y'all, but they're not living it fully because they don't have life within them. They're soulless, they're drained, their body and their face looks decayed like if they're fucking dying, That's what we are getting closer and closer to, family. Why you think there's so many people around you, y'all, who look dead already? They're only appearing living, y'all, because they're following what the world has told them, which is the Matrix, y'all. Those beings are Matrix beings, y'all. Beings to masquerade you and to keep you stuck in this loophole we call life. But we are on 5D. We have entered 5D as the energy came down and then we have shifted because you're seeing that not only externally, but for the people who work on themselves internally, y'all, you might be higher than 5D, y'all, because everything starts internally before the external world, Like myself, y'all, I'm over 5D. That's why I'm able to give y'all this divine information, y'all. In order to have information like this or have it reserved within y'all, you have to be on a cosmic plane within yourself, y'all. That means you would have to put so much work into yourself that you don't give a fuck about what anyone's telling you, y'all, because the universe already showed you what is and what ain't, That's why people look at us like philosophers, or just time travelers, yo. But time travel is simply going into yourself and putting that energy into yourself to be able to see what the fuck is happening around you. That's time traveling, yo, because time traveling is simply going back to the past, or living up into what it is that you are seeing in the future for you to give back to the ones who are seeking this download, you know? I repeat, y'all, you can't go back in time physically. It's a mental thing, because you have the power to see the past when you think about it, or the future, depending on how you are living now and what you see your life as. That's time travel, y'all. You know, people think time travel is you going into, you know, some kind of a space or a machine, and it takes your ass back into time where people were once, you know, what you claimed them to be. No, y'all. That don't exist. Everything exists with the power of your mind. That's why you must protect that, y'all, because the enemy's trying to control you through their programming, through their illusions, y'all. You know, let's talk about entertainment for a moment, y'all. Entertainment, you know, not only entertainment, but, you know, just distractions, y'all, or things that you may like, which are on the phone. You know, the phone, which we are on, these devices, they can be used for pure positivity, or they're used for straight negativity. But either way, it's still bad regardless, y'all, because they emit negative frequencies. And that's what people, all they fucking do, are addicted to scrolling, you know, because, y'all, they're literally a slave to their own desires, which is that phone, which is something that was not organically made for you. It was here to distract you and kill you slowly by killing your energy levels and keeping you at a low dimension, you know. We're beings who thrive off of high frequencies, y'all. Why do you think everybody loves singing bowls? Why do you think everybody likes to protect their essence? Because that's what we were used to on the planet we came down, or we were one step before we descended here, you know? So, now that you know this, y'all, that's exactly why, once you have risen, you don't like surrounding yourself with people who look at life on the flesh, because you feel the energy off of their asses. And it's like poison to you, y'all, because now they're gonna put that energy onto you, and now it's gonna feel like you're dropping back down to a physical state, y'all. But you're not physical, y'all. You're light in an avatar, you know. Once you realize that you are nothing but light, y'all, there's nothing that you can't do that seems impossible in this world. The only thing about it is it's gonna take hella energy. You're gonna take for you to free your mind, and it's gonna take a lot of meditation, because everything that you want to do, it consists of energy, y'all. You have to have energy. You gotta have protection. That's why we always tell y'all, family, to protect your mind and protect your energy, y'all. You know, working out is gonna help you get more energy, y'all. But what good is that if you can't protect it? You know, that's why you don't want to be around people who are not, you know, of light as well, y'all. Being around beings that are lower than you, y'all, are gonna force you to live their way. You know, there's no other way around it, y'all. Unless you are able to do the shadow work every time you get away from them. But when you get back around their asses, you will notice how you fall in frequency, y'all. You know? As sad as this shit might sound, or as real as it might get, this is the truth. And this is why, family, the most vital thing to do, y'all, is to be celibate, y'all. Not because you want to look good or because you want the muscle that comes with it, you know. It's because now you are operating at that light you were once always at or supposed to be at, family, you know. Once you vibrate with light, y'all, nobody can dim that unless you give them the power to, unless you remove your light physically, y'all. You know what I'm talking about? So, before I end this video, I want to remind y'all that think about the ones you are letting in, or the ones who are around. If they're family, y'all, I'm not telling you to cut them off, but I'm reminding you to build up your presence and protect your energy, y'all, because the enemy or the devil can come in anybody to attack you for the fact that they don't know what you know and they don't practice what you do, which is whether or not you engulf your spirit with negativity, y'all. You always, the power which is truly yours, is you remind yourself to always go within and cleanse that out of you. That's the difference between you and those. They're not aware of this, and even if they were, they might not do the work because it simply seems like it's too much to handle. And that's what I mean, family. A lot of people don't have what it takes to harness the energy up because they love lifeless. They love that lifeless fantasy that society has told them to just be comfortable, enjoy the game, stay lost, ask questions, y'all. But I just wanted to make the video to tell you that we are in 5D now, but the system's already crashing, y'all. Everything's falling apart. We are only on the 5th dimension. When I say the 5th dimension, that's how the world is operating now. That's why everybody's getting along, or everybody's finding that peace within. But mentally, y'all, like myself, y'all, I'm over the 9th to 10th dimension. I'm higher than that, because everything's in the mental planes, y'all. In order for you to even get this kind of information, you would have to work on yourself so much to give it out. But just by you going within yourself and rising and living in a higher frequency, that's what your reality becomes around you, because you're the only being who can do that, since you have these cosmic energies within you that you are able to tap into whenever you engulf yourself with that frequency. There's a reason why a lot of people be intimidated by you, or they are afraid of you, because they don't fear your avatar, or they don't fear your physique. They fear the energy behind you. They fear what it is they can't study, or they can't figure out. Why you think people don't know your next move, yet they want to watch everything you do? Because you're a walking ball of light, that people want to put their hands to and try to tame, but it's untameable, because it's not yours. But I remind you that you have a light as well, whether it's shining or you self-sufficiently dimmed it. You still have a light. But think about that, family. We are in the 5th dimension. The beings who live for social media, all these motherfucking robots that you see shaking their asses, or trying to show you to get a bag, or telling you to be a rapper, a movie star like Johnny Cage and shit. All these motherfuckers exist on the 3rd dimension because they crave the physical world. They crave control. They crave attention. That's why they want to entertain you, because they want to feel recognized. The more energy you have, the more you really don't care to be around nobody, because you're full of life. Why would you want to be around others who are dimmed, or fucking looking for someone like you to train? That's how deep the world is, family. And that's why it takes ones like myself to awaken the world, not with words, but yes, with words, so you can get it, but with energy, because you will be living rent-free in everybody's mind, whether they fuck with you or whether they don't. But it's not about, a feeling or what someone did. It's about how you are changing the world, It takes no money to change the world, yet you are still a force of destruction, because simply you have no fear, which the enemy, that's what they love the most. They love fear. That's why they put this world in fear. That's why scary movies come out. They want you to be scared so they can feed off that fucking energy you emit when you live that way. That's why I always tell y'all, family, if you are afraid of things around you, you will never reach your full potential, because you are limiting your mind to things outside of you, when that shit doesn't exist. It's an illusion, Everything around you is an illusion. And I'm not necessarily saying people, but the shit that they do that might, get you to react is an illusion, because you choose whether or not you want to give the enemy power. When the devil doesn't get anything from you, he flees. But if you open that door for him to attack you, he's gonna stay right there, waiting for your ass every time, But the key is meditation, family. The key is coming out and absorbing this sunlight, not so it can activate you quickly and fastly, because everything's gonna happen in divine timing, You can't rush what's destined to happen, but just know that if you're vibrating high and you're protecting your energy, you already won, because there's nothing that the enemy can do to keep you stuck or to keep you drained like him. You know, the only thing he could do is live in the way he was programmed, which is to be afraid, which is to be scared, and which is to be vicious. But think about that, family. I want y'all to really think about this topic, y'all, because if you weren't a threat, y'all, they wouldn't be attacking you. If you're really someone who offers peace to the world and truly wants to crave change, why is the enemy attacking you so bad when you are simply speaking how you feel about yourself and the world around you? That's what I'm saying, y'all. Because the enemy doesn't care about how much peace you want or what you're trying to give to the world. All they want is control. All they want is seduction, or they want to put a false scenario over your life for you to feel like you haven't reached your max potential. That's all it is, y'all. If the enemy wanted us to all live in a happy life, y'all, everybody would be rich. Everybody would have, things that they want to do. It's not that way. Not yet. But it's coming, though. Why you think all these dead motherfuckers are building bunkers? Or, they're building and creating robots to war against us? Because when we do activate, y'all, and when we become truly invincible, we're going to be unstoppable. Ain't nobody going to be able to do shit to us, y'all. All these kinetic forms of energy, which is guns, rocket launchers, none of that shit's going to be able to, deteriorate you, because your aura is going to be too strong. It's already strong. Why do you think people don't like being around you, or they can't get close? It doesn't seem real, y'all, because we're not there yet. But for you to truly feel it, it's to truly know the power you have within, y'all. They show you this shit in everything around you, but you don't feel that way, y'all, because you live so low in dimensions that all you see is your body and the physical things around you. That is matter, y'all. Everything, this is matter, But once you live through light, y'all, I repeat, you can face through this wall, That's exactly why the sun can go through the window and you can still get in the nutrients and the vitamin D from the window, because light can see through anything, y'all. I'm always telling y'all are light beings, y'all. Though we are not on that dimension yet, you still know that because you see it within yourself, and you glow when you hold that energy, I'm not telling you that you will get these powers at once, y'all. I'm reminding you that everything starts with protection and identity first. Everything, it takes time. And when I say time, y'all, it takes a significant amount of energy that causes you to go through an awakening period. And once you're awakening, y'all, now it's only up from there, y'all. Elevation at its highest is all that matters now, y'all. You don't gotta look back into the past, y'all, or think ahead, y'all. You get your power when you are in the present moment, because you're aware, y'all. The enemy will try to nudge at you, or try to control you, or try to get you in your feelings when you live in the past, or when you think about what's ahead, y'all. You're not there yet. So think about what you can do right now to improve your being and to improve your reality, y'all. That's all that matters, But this was a video, family, and this was how, not only from all being 5D physically, y'all. And just because we're in the 5D physically doesn't mean everybody's on 5D. No. Why you think you see motherfuckers dying, or motherfuckers looking like they already dead, but they're only moving because of the matrix that has programmed to still move? Because, y'all, since we're on 5D physically, the ones who are living in 3D, y'all, that they're not gonna be able to live here longer. Especially when it gets to 6, 7, and 8D physically, y'all. Man, that's when they all gonna turn to flesh-eating zombies. What was these shit? Because they don't have a light to be able to contain themselves on this earth any longer. Because the earth is rising up in light, up in energy, and there are beings that can't even take in this new energy because their body can't take it, y'all. Because they haven't got right within. They haven't harnessed and protected their energy. That's exactly why they're crumbling, y'all. Not because of virus, but because the world is leaving them behind. Not us, the world itself, y'all. The soil, the earth. She's leaving them because the energy is she has more energy than these lifeless motherfuckers who throw their energy into the trash. you know, because all they care about is physical things, people, you know, places. Because those are demons taking up a physical avatar, yo, that you may seem as flesh, but not all things are pure. That's why you can't trust these eyes, yo. You gotta trust your intuition, and you gotta live with your third eye open so you can peep energy, peep awareness, and to know that everything's gonna be alright, yo. I gave y'all as much as information as I could, yo. I can only give y'all so much, but for the beings who truly wanna be able to live with us or to take in this new energy, you know, they envy us, family, because we're getting younger. We look like we just hatched, you know, and we're only gonna get more and more younger, yo, because we are working on ourselves daily, yo. Well, you know, we live life in the present. We don't think about the shit that can affect us and our energy levels, yo. That shit is done. You know, the enemy has lost the moment we have woken up and taken back this energy, because with this energy, yo, it sees through everything that's vague. That's exactly what, when you step out into this world, yo, everybody goes back into the rock because they don't like seeing a mirror that is shining bright at them, you know, when they ain't bright themselves, yo. But forever, whoever's watching this, man, I gave y'all the keys to life, man. Now, this is up for you what you want to do with it, but just know that whether you want to stay down in those lower realms or you want to get to a frequency of peace, it's going to take war. It's going to take war with yourself, family. But I'll see y'all, man. Ashe.